I'd like to take a moment to explore how solitude can be a real source of strength, especially in later adulthood. Now, most conversations on aging focus on how to avoid being alone, because solitude is often associated with loneliness. And of course, meaningful connections are vital for our well-being, and they can actually give us something meaningful back. So, of course, let's not screen out people altogether. But spending time in solitude can offer a quiet power, right? A chance to reconnect with ourselves and our own personal needs, which is particularly beneficial as we get older. Now, in our younger years, solitude for long periods of time is probably rarely sought out, unless it's a deliberate lifestyle choice. And that makes sense, because seeking external influences and stimulation in young adulthood is beneficial. The experiences through social connections, education, travel, and work all play a key role in shaping who we are and building our identity. And they help us, of course, develop essential skills which help us then to make better life decisions. And then comes midlife, right? The time between our 40s and 50s, roughly, when many begin to notice the first signs of aging and reflect on any dreams that haven't fulfilled yet or goals that we haven't reached. And this often leads to a midlife crisis where people make bold changes in their lives. Having a new career, going on an adventurous trip, changing relationships. And of course, that is driven by the fear that if we don't act now, it may be too late later. And again, at this stage, solitude may feel unwelcome for most of us because, we're still focused on doing, achieving, and obviously getting all those experiences in that we're still missing. But there does come a time when we realize that we are no longer able to participate in all the activities the way we used to. And these may be sport-related, travel, or even something as simple as a spontaneous social gathering for which we don't have the energy. And we may still be able to go there in our minds through imagination or memory, right? Remembering the thrill and the excitement and all the laughter. But our bodies begin to ask for more rest. So what do? Well, we sit back and watch others engage, like our children or younger friends or simply the people around us. And here we are faced with a choice. We can either feel joy for these people, encouraging them even to go and live their life fully, or we can feel left behind and drown in self-pity. And I think this is where the real shift begins. The shift from seeking external experiences and valuing them above everything to now cultivating an internal richness. It's a quiet but a very powerful psychological step, and one that helps us cope not only with the more subtle changes of aging, like graying hair, wrinkles, or noticing changes in energy levels, but also with the deeper and more unexpected ones, like a sudden illness, a loss, and eventually the reality of our own mortality, like facing death. And this is when solitude no longer is a condition to avoid, but it becomes a kind companion. A space where we can reflect on our life, including lived and unlived experiences, including the joyful and the painful ones, and begin to make peace with ourselves. Now, there are two factors that are key in that process. One is gratitude, the other is acceptance. We must have gratitude for all experiences, even the goals that we didn't reach or the choices that didn't turn out as we hoped, because ultimately they've all taught us something. An acceptance of those experiences because it brings emotional peace. It allows us to let go of regret, soften our critical self-judgment, and simply move forward with greater resilience and wisdom. And this is why solitude can be such a powerful state, especially in later years. This is when we stop tying our happiness to these external experiences and feel sorry for ourselves that we may not be able to engage as much as we used to. And in that quiet space, we may come to realize that we actually no longer want more noise, more stress, more consumerism, more hassle in our lives. What we're really seeking is, depth, meaningful conversations, spending time in nature, feeling ourselves in our bodies, and perhaps even developing an appreciation for how our body has so beautifully carried us through all that we've mastered in life. And these insights and wisdoms are best met through solitude, in stillness and in self-reflection. Now, spending time alone can also bring something unexpected: independence. When we tune into our own intuition and truly understand our needs, it makes us less vulnerable to the often well-meant advice from other people, which of course is based on their values and not ours. So as we age, let's not fear solitude, let's honor it, let's make time for it. And let's not see it as a form of isolation, but actually as a sacred space for introspection, for healing, and for wisdom. Now, if this gave you something to reflect on, I'd love to hear your comments in the comments section. Also, take the time to like and subscribe to the channel so that you can follow the conversations on aging well. It was a pleasure to have you here today. Take good care of yourselves.